Chapter 9. Harness Your Genius Power. We are the only species on the planet, as far as we know, that has been endowed with the gift of imagination. Your ability to imagine is truly your genius power. Take a moment with me to just consider it. Your ability to mentally visualize an event and then to actually, viscerally in your body experience that event is phenomenal. So, what do we go and predominantly use our imaginations for? Worrying. We imagine that people will judge and criticize us, and so we shut up, sit down, and shrink ourselves to stay safe. We imagine bills, and more bills piling up with no means to pay them, and so we endure sleepless nights, racing hearts, and gut-wrenching anxiety. You must get yourself down to the spiritual gym, flex your focus, and train your imagination. This, hands down, changed my life, as you will discover. There is so much compelling evidence to back up the powerful force that is your imagination and how it can support your goal achievement. Successful men and women have known this for centuries, that when you focus deliberately on what you want and you visualize yourself already having it, you are literally crafting it and calling it into your reality. Now, I'll be honest, it took me a while to really get it. I always understood how mental rehearsal was an exceptional tool for helping people to feel more confident and in control. I got it on a logical level. When I first started my coaching business and I knew nothing of the online world, I know, right? Imagine that. I hosted a series of confidence and self-esteem workshops in my village to get my name out there. My daughter, then 12, and I went leaflet dropping to promote my workshops around the local community. Anyway, I was so nervous leading up to my first workshop that I started to mentally rehearse it. I'd picture myself at the front of the room, speaking with confidence and conviction. I'd imagine the audience engaging, smiling, nodding, and having a great time. I'd see myself enjoying myself and feeling like a mini rock star. I did it over and over until the big day arrived, and I was so glad that I did. I literally felt like a different person. I breezed into that room feeling 10 foot tall, and I nailed my first ever workshop. I felt confident, prepared, and even though it was all well rehearsed, everything flowed and felt natural and spontaneous. Most importantly, the feedback was amazing, and some of the attendees even signed up for coaching with me on the back of it. They were among my first paying clients. I could easily process how using my imagination to mentally rehearse a chosen outcome worked in this context and, other similar situations. What I didn't get until my paid in full journey was how the imagination can be used to manifest something out of nothing. This was where I had to really commit to the process and view this as an experiment by putting myself and my debt situation into a metaphorical petri dish and go all in with harnessing my imagination. I'll say it up front, it 100% works. And this book is the physical manifestation. A demonstration that out of nothing, the realm of the imagination, something was created in the physical realm. Okay, so now for the science bit. Just kidding. You can do your own research on quantum physics and the nature of particles if you want to. I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert or that I can even begin to explain how this works. I just know that it does work. You trust that your electric kettle will boil water for your morning brew, don't you? You don't need to understand how electricity works to enjoy the benefit of that steaming mug of your favorite pick-me-up. I am inviting you to take on faith that what you learn in the coming pages is 100% true. You don't need to have blind faith. That's not necessary because, once again, you're holding evidence in the form of this book, or rather you're hearing evidence in the form of this book that I'm reading to you that what I'm saying is the truth. You're going to have to suspend all judgment, skepticism, or doubt in order for you to give yourself the chance to prove it for yourself and clear your debt forever. Firstly, I invite you to accept on faith that you live in a field of infinite possibilities, infinite intelligence, and unlimited abundance. You're never working alone to accomplish anything. You may be agonizing over how you're ever going to clear your debt based on your present circumstances, but that line of thought fuels doubt and most likely has you beginning to feel despondent and hopeless. However, if you accept that you live in a field of infinite possibilities, you begin to appreciate the fact that there are infinite ways that the money you need to clear your debts can present itself. Figuring out the how is not your business, and it just messes with your mind. Mike Dooley, who authored Leveraging the Universe, calls them the cursed hows for that very reason. You're trying to come up with the how you're going to achieve your goal based on your own finite and, quite frankly, extremely limited, no offense, paradigm of what is possible for you. When you pour all of your energy into the one known to you way that you could possibly get the money, you shut yourself off from all the other possibilities and unknown, aka surprising and delightful, ways through which that money could come. Secondly, I invite you to accept that your subconscious mind controls 95% of your thought processes, your reactions, and your behaviors based on a blueprint that has been created from your life experiences and conditioning. Anything you practice for long enough becomes second nature, i.e., walking, eating, brushing your teeth, driving your car, bad-mouthing yourself, worrying, and other such unhelpful, limited, repetitive thought patterns. You do all of these things without any conscious effort, that is, without thinking. This blueprint is an accurate reflection of your past. And the really scary part is that without deliberate and conscious intervention, it will also become an accurate reflection of your predictable future. Nothing changes until you change. Different faces, different places, maybe, but same shit. It's scary because most people are ignorant of this. And no matter how unhappy, broke, and frustrated they are, they will continue to perpetuate the same results. Ever wondered why you keep attracting the same type of partner? Or why you're always the one who seems to get bullied by the boss no matter where you work? Or why your income oscillates around a certain level? It's no wonder so many people feel like a victim to external forces and feel helpless to change anything. So let's come back to your genius power and why it works. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. On first blush, that seems like a flaw, right? However, it is one of the most powerful advantages you have for getting whatever it is you want. When you imagine an experience so vividly that you have a visceral, physiological response, this is evidence that your subconscious mind believes that the experience is actually happening. It's the reason why your heart rate increases, the blood rushes from your face, your jaws clench, you sweat profusely in the midst of a nightmare. You're just having a dream, and yet your body is having a very real physiological reaction. Your body is in fight, flight, or freeze because it doesn't know the truth. The truth, of course, is that you're safely tucked up in a warm and comfortable bed. Equally, when you're in love and you think about your partner, your brain releases a chemical cocktail of love drugs such as vasopressin, adrenaline, dopamine, and oxytocin that gives you the sensation of butterflies in your stomach. Your face flushes, your heart races with excitement, and you feel and look radiant. Whether it's a nightmare or thinking about the one you love or any other experience you can imagine, your body experiences it as though it's real, and therefore, according to your subconscious mind, it actually happened. This is significant because each time you quote unquote, experience the event that you're imagining, you're creating an imprint on your subconscious mind, thereby creating a sort of memory. Should you happen to visualize the same experience frequently and allow the feelings to flood your subconscious mind, your body at a cellular level begins to change to reflect that imagined experience. Quite literally, your blueprint is altered and you change your state of being. Your state of being will resonate at the frequency of that which you've been focusing on and imagining, and by virtue of the powerful law of attraction, you will attract everything that is a match to your dominant vibration. The exact circumstances will manifest. My dominant frequency around money and debt was shame, unworthiness, and a feeling of being out of control. I had unwittingly practiced that state of being for so long that it had become my chronic state. That is why I continue to attract more to be ashamed of and more to feel out of control about, aka more debt. The key to harnessing your genius power is simply to commit to a daily practice of visualizing the result that you want and infusing that visual with strong, positive emotions. So when it comes to being debt-free, let's start with the end in mind. What is going to be the most powerful evidence for you that you've achieved your goal? Perhaps it will be the credit card statements with zero balance outstanding, or the phone call to the creditor to joyfully request closure of the credit card account. Maybe it's the experience of gathering your loved ones for a meal and seeing their faces as you explain through joyful tears that you are now debt-free. Practicing visualization every day is a game changer, not only for the end results that you'll manifest, but also for the immediate shift in how you're feeling now. You feel excitement rather than stress. You feel positive and eager rather than negative and hopeless. You transition every day more and more into a state of positivity and therefore into a state of receptivity to the possibilities around you. And you begin to attract more ideas and opportunities that will set you on your path. As you begin to feel more positive and excited day by day, you attract more to feel more positive and excited about. It's a perpetual upward spiral. Not only that, dominant emotional states are addictive. So the better it gets, the better it gets. I've had debt my whole adult life. Many people have mortgage debt for most of their adult life, but since I was 18, I've had credit card debt, as you know. On the rare occasions that I had paid it all off somehow, within a very short period of time, I'd accumulated it all back again. Being in debt had become so familiar to me that it was an uncomfortable comfort zone. I was identified with it and was perpetuating it year on year. In order to change my results, I had to change how I identified myself in the context of money and debt. This was where the power of visualization was truly transformational. Every day, sometimes multiple times a day, I imagined how I'd feel being completely paid in full. I visualized this book being published, and I saw myself talking to people about how they can help themselves become free just like I had. Note the past tense. Through repetition, I imprinted this experience onto the fabric of my subconscious mind until it existed as a memory. This created a state change over time in who I was being. The more I resonated as someone who did not have debt, the less I worried about it, and the more money and prosperity I attracted. So, what did I experience when I imagined my desired debt-free outcome? Wow, what can I say? My whole body felt electric. I was simply bursting with joy. I was crying happy tears as I saw myself opening the parcel that had just arrived and seeing my book inside, paid in full. As I turned the book over in my hands, I realized that I'm liberated and my purposeful journey to help other people feel free and amazing had begun in earnest. In my imagination, I fell to my knees and I sobbed. I sobbed tears of relief, pride, joy, elation, satisfaction, and a sense of endings and new beginnings. Then I saw myself getting ready for a special day and evening with Jeremy. I gift wrapped my book, smiling to myself because God only knows how I kept this book a secret for him for all this time. I'm normally rubbish at keeping exciting secrets to myself. I'd prepared the works. Hotel booked, champagne on ice, new dress, new hairdo, nails, facial. I was scrubbed, buffed, moisturized, and I felt $1,000,000. I was literally floating on air. I was beyond excited to see his face as he unwrapped this gift, and the realization of what it meant dawned on him. He can hardly believe it. My coach, Hasna, was with me for the entire journey, and I saw myself writing her a letter, of course there are tears, of deep thanks and gratitude, and explaining how she's helped me transform my life. As I emerged from this powerful visualization, my face was wet with real tears of joy. I felt wonderful. I repeated this process almost every day, sometimes giving myself 30 to 45 minutes of full immersion, and other times just recalling some element of this end result and focusing on it for about 5 minutes. This had the magical effect of having me believe ahead of time that I was debt-free. I was creating my mental map of the future. This shifted my state of being and my vibration. I stopped relying on credit cards to help me get by each month. Whenever I needed or wanted something, I earned or attracted the money. I also saw my balances reducing with satisfaction, and I diminished my stressful and negative thoughts because my whole perspective had changed. When it comes to your visualization practice, it's important to know why you want to be debt-free. When I work with clients in the Paid in Full and Prospering Academy, many tell me how they desire so much to be debt-free, and they begin visualizing the specific sum of money they need to achieve that goal. The idea of having that sum of money is exciting, but what I encourage is that you go beyond the goal of being debt-free and more towards your true soul's desires. Revisit your powerful why from the earlier chapter and create an outcome that is greater than being debt-free just for the sake of it. If debt-free was a journey goal, what's the real destination? How will you be able to contribute in a much bigger way when you are free of debt yourself? Who will you become for your loved ones and your community and your clients when you are no longer saddled with the burden of debt? One of my clients wanted to clear her six-figure debt because it was a painful reminder of a financial crisis she and her family went through decades earlier. It was like a ball and chain that kept her playing small because she felt out of integrity in the particular line of work she was in. Her expertise is helping families manage their finances. She's amazing at her job. But this decades-old debt meant she was afraid to go all out in her business for fear that if people knew of her debt, she'd be hung out to dry as a fraud. She connected her visualizations to her deeper why and to greater success in her business. Lucrative opportunities showed up, and on one of our calls, she exclaimed, "I feel like everything I touch turns to gold." Within just over 12 months, she felt so happy and she was debt-free. As you know, my destination was to help people free themselves from debt through publishing a book detailing my journey, this experiment. I immersed myself so fully in the end experience, opening the box that my books arrived in, falling to my knees in joy and disbelief, having the evening with Jeremy and presenting him with the gift-wrapped book. Every day I lived it, and the means showed up in ways that I could never have predicted. They were surprising, easy, and I could only have joined the dots with hindsight. That's the magic of manifestation through using the power of your imagination and visualization. As I write this second edition, I feel blessed and still in awe of the ease and miraculous accuracy of how everything unfolded according to my mental imaging. Call to action. Revisit your why. What makes being paid in full a must for you? Take 5 to 10 minutes every single day to alter your state of being through the power of visualization. Imagine the details of celebrating being debt-free. How do you feel? Who are you with? What are you wearing? Where are you and what are you doing? Occasionally, when you have more time or create more time for yourself, give yourself the gift of a longer immersion into your visualization. It not only feels utterly blissful, but you emerge from each experience changed at a fundamental cellular level. Less the person you were who gets into debt, and more like the person in your visualization, paid in full.